Welcome to Big Talk. This week we have a special guest who is none other than the Governor of Plateau State, Simon Lalong. Welcome to this show again.
Thank you very much.
Second time here, one of the few who have had this opportunity with us.
Thank you very much.
A lot has happened since the last time we spoke about security, about national politics. Most significant of all was that you were unanimously voted to run again for the second time. Well, you have to tell us why you think you deserve a second term.
Well, thank you very much for that question. I won't say I am the one to say why I deserve a second term. First, it is to the glory of God, because when we came in, we said we are serving the people. So if the people are happy, you will know it in the people. You will know it in the behaviors of the people or the comments of the people. So, and if they are not happy, you will know. You will know. And a leader will always be happy, will be happier for it if you do your best and you see people following you and they're very happy. You will also realize within you that you are also very happy. You have good sleeps, good rest, and then you will always hold your head very high. So in the last 2 years, I must say, we concentrated on real service to the people. Real service to the people. Most of the promises we made to the people, by God's grace, we are keeping up to it. So when you make a pledge to them and you are keeping up to it, definitely you know that at the end of the day, they will also be very happy and say, you continue, you continue. Things like what we saw when we came in, payment of salaries. Some people say it's not an important thing. But when we came in, the whole state was dead. Without payment of salary, the economy was also down. No revenue in the state. So we started, and I promised them. I didn't know when I made that promise. But I said, look, by God's grace, if you vote me in, salaries will be a thing of the past.
When you made that pledge, I remember that time, when you made that pledge,
yes.
Were you sure you were just working on your gut instinct? Because it was possible.
That time I worked on my gut instinct. I know that it was going to be very, very difficult. But I said, to the glory of God, let me just make this and bend down and continue to pray. Because it was difficult. Within the periods at that time, the challenges of the economy generally, both at the federal and the state, for you to even assume that you will pay half of it. Today, many of my colleagues have not even met up half of that. But I made a pledge, and because I said it, I concentrated on it to meet up with the pledge I made to the people. To talk of 10 months, about 9 months of salaries, salary arrears,
yes.
To talk of a debt of over 22 billion, to talk of ongoing projects that were there, and then the crisis that was in the state. For anybody, it was a difficult task. But I like working within a very difficult task. And within that time, we were able to pay them. And as it is now in the state, people don't talk of salary arrears again. People don't talk of pension, because we have even started paying pension. We paid pension, sorry. We are even paying gratuity. We are doing payment of gratuity. Now, when you have all this put together, then what is service? What is service to people again? What is service to people? That's what they want. So they voted for you to do those things, and you are doing the best for them. So they will not wait to say, go and continue.
You talked a lot about abandoned projects, some 30 years old and all of that. You must have done a lot of going back to the drawing board.
Yes.
That must have a pressure on the finances.
Yes. Well, like I mentioned, you first of all, as you are doing that, you must also put a watch on the revenue drive. And you can't do revenue drive in a situation where you have crisis, in a situation where the civil servants are not carried along, because they are the engine room, and without their support, there will be a lot of frustration. There will be a lot of leakages here and there, and that was why first thing we did was that, yes, we said we must concentrate, because we cannot continue to depend on the federation account. So we went back to also our revenue. So you can see part of it is land is very important. Land is very important. We went back on the issue of land. We gave even we reduced our rates on land to 50% to allow people to come back. Before I came in, they said over 10 years, over 8 years, in the period of the last 8 years, they said there were no certificate, people were not issued with certificate of occupancy. So if you don't have certificate of occupancy, how do you obtain facilities from the bank? How will the economy grow? So we went back, we gave it that way, and with the rate cut off 50%. So you saw a lot of people coming for their certificate of occupancy. We did that improvement in the lands. With the payment of salaries, we brought in a new concept into the revenue drive, and our revenue rose that time from 300 million to about 700 and 800 million. Because if you have to augment what we are getting,
about 700 or 800 now.
Yes, although within the period it is going down, but we are still working on it to go back, because we now set a target for ourselves. We say a state like Plateau, we must set a target, and our target was that we must be able, before the end of the 3 years or 4 years, be able to get up to 3 billion or 4 billion to sustain what we are doing in the state. And then also with the intervention of Mr. President on the issues of bailout and parish reform, yes, we use it judiciously. Plateau was one of the states that was rated as using judiciously the bailout funds. So that is why today we are better for it.
There are two areas Plateau has been known for historically. Yes. One is agriculture, yes, and the other is mining. Yes. Now, can you give us some sense of it? Mining itself is on the exclusive list, yes, and so on. Yes. And the other time you talked about a particular individual who was, on his own milking the state with close upwards of 4 billion a month and so on. Yes. Have you been able to redress this?
Very well, because part of it was we led complaints. Because in Plateau State, what you need, if you look at the position of Plateau State, you will know that there are 2 or 3 things. Plateau is blessed with weather. Plateau is blessed with especially production of exotic crops. There is no crop that will not grow in Plateau. There will no crop because of that temperature, because of the weather. So that weather can make you build on tourism, and also agriculture will flourish if you put it well. Now, what we've done in the state is, in terms for agriculture, we are moving highly on mechanized agriculture. You realize that the president was there. He commissioned tractors. We have ASTC, an agricultural outfit, very big one, that service not only Plateau State, but major states, about 6 or 7 states in the federation. So we are concentrating on agriculture, and we've gone too far. Potato. Plateau is the only state that can export potato in Nigeria, can export potato. And because of that, we went into partnership with the federal government, and today we are granted a facility by the African Development Bank, and it is already working now to prepare the processes, to prepare the environment for the mass production of potatoes for export. So we are hoping that in the next 2 years, Plateau will start exporting potatoes. Potatoes is the major exporter of potato, not only in Nigeria, but Africa, and in Africa. So we are not joking with that. Again, you spoke about mining. Yes. Plateau State is blessed. In almost every local government of Plateau, you have one mineral one mineral resource or the other. But because it is on the exclusive list, in the past people took advantage of it. You sit down and you see people coming with mining licenses, different mining licenses from the federal government, or people use exploration licenses and they come and start doing mining. They start doing mining. Illegal, I will call them illegal miners. Yes. So these complaints were collectively channeled to Mr. President. Mr. President said, look, in some of these states, you can leverage on mining alone, and you get out of dependence on federation account. But how do we do that in Plateau State when the whole concept or the whole regulations are in the exclusive list? So you see people coming in different ways. So all these things were led to the president, and the president agreed that the security operatives should also intervene and assist some of these states. That was how we were able to get one of them. It was not he had no license for mine, it's a license to explore, and became a millionaire. I'm not paying state anything. Paying state anything.
Billionaire.
Yes, he's a millionaire. I would say he was a millionaire. The man contested for governorship in the state. Yes. So he had a lot of money. Yes. So I'm not concerned that people will make money from mining. But what were we getting in the state? Nothing. So like that, you have pockets of them. So we said, look, the federal government should do the needful. If there are illegal miners, please fish them out, so that you will also expand and also amend the regulations to allow us, the states, to also participate. We had a mining company that died. But today, since we are doing diversification, there is no way that we can continue to be over dependence on oil. So let us take advantage of our areas of comparative advantage. And our areas of comparative advantage is first our weather, agriculture, and then mining and mining. So we're not joking with that. So the person is with the National Security Advisor. Now they are prosecuting him. Not only him, I think they are also going around in other places where you have similar people doing illegal mining in the state.
To have mining work, to have agriculture work, you need one principal thing. Yes. You need security. Yes. For the past decade or so, I've met a lot of people outside of Plateau State. Yes. Who say, oh, we used to live in Plateau, it used to be beautiful, but then there was this violence, there was this sense of insecurity, we had to leave town. And there was one particular person, anytime you we mentioned in my house, so it was just, the person would just look up as if something is up. As you know, there's this nostalgia. Yes. to it. Now we have experienced a great deal of violence around the Middle Belt area, moving up the way to Taraba, there have been some in Plateau, but we can say that relatively, given what we have seen, the Plateau State, there was some touch-up of violence recently, and then there was calm. What is the situation now with security, given the template that you set up between the Birom and the Fulani and then the other ethnic groups?
Yes. Well, let me say that in Plateau State, it was not something new to us, because when we came into office, we were engulfed, we saw the state engulfed in very serious insecurity. Many businesses were running away. They were leaving. There were exits of different kind of business. People ran away. Everybody was running away. And as a governor, let me tell you that it was, I also had that experience. I had to change my plate number at one time before I became governor, because I traveled to a particular part of the country, and the day I put my vehicle, the next day before I went, somebody came, they hit the vehicle, smashed my glass. I don't know, because at that time, it was difficult for you when you see plate number of Plateau State. People were changing plate numbers because they saw Plateau as a
symbol of violence?
A symbol of violence, yeah. So, but when we came in, the story changed. Recently I was in UK, And when you get to the airport, you find somebody talking to you, and they say, Governor of Plateau, he will tell you, just like you mentioned, that my father was there. We grew up in Plateau. Yeah. That was where we were doing our holidays and everything. So I see a lot of people telling me that.
Peter Ego,
so if
Peter Ego himself, and then there was time they mentioned so many people that big names that came out from. One of them was Peter Ego, who was on this show when he turned 70.
Yes.
He talked so nostalgically about growing up in Jos and the Jos area, and then we talked about this TV show. What was it?
Kokoro at
Dawn, and how it was done.
Yes.
And then it was done on daytime, and
yes.
everybody did it. It was like a communal atmosphere.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And so if you have that kind of atmosphere, if you have that kind of story coming from people, why will you not want to make the place again a better place for people to come and live in Plateau State? That's why I tell people, even people of Plateau State, I said, look, with this blessing, don't assume that Plateau is for you alone. Plateau is for everybody who wants to come and live in the place. And so if you allow people to make the place habitable, allow people to live. So long as those people work within the laws and also obey the laws. The best thing you can do is to create hospitable environment for them to come and live. When they come to live, the economy will grow. So that was why we made security and peace a cardinal policy cardinal principle of our policy trust. Our number 1 out of 5 is the issue of security and peace. And so we maintain that. Recently, in addition to what we've been doing to the state, I had to buy 53 security vehicles, 53 equipped for security vehicles, and we distributed to all nooks and corners. We said, look, we must make security our priority always. And so when the herdsmen thing were coming, we knew how we'll nip it in the bud until we had pockets of crisis around Bassa and 2 local governments, so to speak. So what we've done, we've also expanded the scope. We've expanded the scope, both the local sense and then the conventional method. And that is apart from the creation of the peace building agency in the state. It is only Plateau that has it. Recently, Kaduna copied it. So we introduced, because of our peculiar nature about crisis, about the need to fight to ensure security, we created peace and conflict agency in the state. And the peace and conflict agency has gone very, very far. Last week, they sent even the president Peace and Peace Institute in the United States. She is currently in Jos. They want to observe that, develop it, and also recommend it to other states to copy as a solution to the herdsmen and farmers crisis. So we have a peace agency now established by law with the Director General permanently, because sometimes what I realize as a governor is that you inherited some of these things. Yes. And then you apply some kind of temporary solutions, you leave, they start reoccurring again. So that was why we established that peace agency. We said that one is supposed to be permanent. It will outlive us. When we leave, it will continue. So what they do is now to continue to develop on reconciliation, on negotiation, on everything. They are now the ones studying even the local solution that we had. So when Mr. President came, he unveiled the 5 years plan, and he recommended that to all the states, Recently, I'm a member of the Farmers Herdsmen Crisis, and they were saddled with responsibility of finding or suggesting to federal government what to do. My suggestion was that let others come to Plateau State and also understudy what we are doing. If it is good, let them apply it. It will solve some of their problems. So Kaduna came. Kaduna have started it. So we are also still saying that they should come and study and learn. So if we have that wide scope everywhere, together we can also go to their state and learn. They may also have their own different sense to it, and together with that, we'll continue to do that. And that may be, we may find, through that, we'll find solutions to some of these herdsmen.
The sense we get about Plateau State is that the problem is actually communal. But the sense we get in other places like Taraba, Adamawa, Zamfara, your neighbor Benue, and even Nasarawa, is that there are some people who came into this country who are masquerading as herdsmen. And these are the people who are causing this mayhem. And it's been difficult to really distinguish the traditional herdsmen from the impostor herdsmen who are out doing the violence. How has that played out in Plateau? Because you're also in the region.
Yes, exactly, you are right. You see, when you start talking about herdsmen farmers, it's a very wide concept, very wide concept. You talk about, because if we are talking of that topic, it will take us the whole day. It will take us the whole day, because you also see there were problems. You see the root, you see the reasons, different kind of reasons. You look at it, even the issues around the Lake Chad, this immigration problems, cross-border problem. That's why we're addressing it very well now, because the ones that I talk about, is some of them are the local environment, the ones that you can solve. But when you see some of these crises, they even go beyond what I'm talking about. But what we usually do, like in our own case, is that if you allow that crisis in a local environment, you will see the influx of these people coming in. Okay. They will come in. Because sometimes many people come in as mercenaries. That's what they are waiting for. So
the local herdsmen will distinguish immediately those who do not belong to them.
Yes, they know.
And then they will say, oh, these people should get out.
Yes, they know. They know what they are doing. Now, if you allow, like we did in the Birom Fulani thing, we say, look, you know yourselves. If within the rules, you know where the problem is. A Fulani man will tell you that they deny him opportunity of water, or when he's grazing, they go and put chemicals. His cows will die. And then he complains about issue of cattle rustling. The Brahman will also complain that he has not been used to fighting with the Fulani man. Once in a while, maybe one or two cows will stray into the farmland, and what they usually do, they settle that. They settle that in a local way. So why are they grazing in the night? Why do they allow younger, very small boys to be grazing anyhow? And then at the end of the day, you find people going into farmlands. So these to them are local things. Now the other wider concept that I will talk about is this transborder movements. You find somebody coming with 3,000 cows to a state, and you will say that the person is going to a grazing reserve when there is no grazing reserve again. There is no where there is no grazing reserve, either they are there or they are not developed. The person will not tell you he is going to a grazing reserve. He wants to go anywhere he wants to settle. And by the time he gets into that place, he finds any farm and he will settle in that farm. Of course, there will be conflict. Or you are talking of somebody moving into a grazing reserve from Chad, from Niger, coming into Nigeria, moving to your state. There are no more grazing routes. There are no more grazing routes. So for him to
But they believe that they still have grazing routes in their heads.
No. Most of the grazing routes are not there again. You know, some of them you see schools. There are schools there. Some of them you see hospitals. There are highways, even government houses. Government houses. I know that the government house in Jos is on a grazing route. It's built on a grazing route. Because the availability, because of increase in population, there are no more lands for such issues. That was why we said the best way is ranching. To the modern kind of farming. Yes. We do ranching. We should adopt ranching. We must adopt ranching. So that is on a wider concept. But definitely, if you are talking of a wider concept, you must also look at the local environment. Because if you look at a typical Fulani man that is in Plateau, look at their relationship with the Biro man, they will tell you there is even intermarriage.
Yes.
There are intermarriages. They will wonder, why are we fighting? That's what they will always ask you. We are even wondering why we must fight.
But Latakaya was on my show and he said the same thing. He said, we know who the Fulanis are. We grow up with them, we do everything with them.
Yes.
So we know the real Fulanis,
yeah.
not the ones that are not causing violence.
Exactly. Because those ones that are causing violence, they will come and destroy. Tomorrow, they will tell you that you can't see them. They will tell you you can't see them. But like I said, it depends on also the local environment. Because if you want to agree on fighting the criminals yourself, then both people, both the Fulanis, the local Fulanis, and the local people must understand themselves and protect external invasion. Otherwise, they will not tell you the truth. This one will go and invite mercenaries. The other side will also invite mercenaries. By the time they cause the havoc, the mercenaries will not be there. Yeah. They will all run back and leave those people. And they may even not settle in the community again. You become IDPs. You become IDPs. And so we told them, our people are beginning to understand that. What they do is that within themselves, they create the rules. They become watchmen for all of them. So right now, like I said, I mentioned the case of Bassa recently. What happened in that place, which was quite abnormal. Before, you will hear cases of cattle rustling, you will hear cases of farmland invasion, but now it is not like that. I rarely get them even complain to me. By the time they come to complain to me, they are telling me how they solve those problems, the local people, how the communities themselves within that local arrangement solve the problem. Bassa was like that until when we brought them, we expanded the scope of the committee to include them. Now they are part of the committee, and immediately we did that in the last 2 weeks. Last week, a situation happened like that in Bassa. And before I knew anything, they told me they were rustling here. They rustled over 100 cows. And I said, what did you do? We said, we adopted the local environment and we caught those who rustled those cows. We caught them. Now they brought back those cows. We got those cows back. In that kind of situation, you will never hear any crisis. The reason for rustling was to create crisis. Because after rustling, you will see reprisal attack. Because people come to do reprisal attack because of rustling, of cattle rustling. So I think the best way is to look at first the environment, create a solution within the environment, while also relying on conventional policing. But again, I have made that appeal, and I'm very happy that the president is considering that appeal, that we cannot have proper implementation of this herdsmen farmers crisis until we have the outfit for that exercise. And that outfit is what? Is the rangers. It's the creation of the rangers themselves. I don't believe that you allow this in the hands of the conventional police or the conventional army. In the bush, it can't. Let them train the civil defense, that aspect of the civil defense, rangers. And then when we have enough of them, we can now start introducing the issue of ranches, implementation of the ranches in all the communities. That will help. Otherwise, whatever we are doing now, we are only sitting on gunpowder.
Yeah, well, now we'll have to talk national politics. You have been in the center of all the peace moves and the crisis in the APC, and people say, well, look, APC has a situation where it is the dominant party. The others are not. The other parties are not together. Yes, APC cannot get its acts together. That there's fight. There was fight over tenure and languishing, and you were in charge of a report. But when the report came out, they said, well, it was tenure and languishing by other means. And then there's this fight now between Oshomole and Oyegun, and the president has now said is now pitching his tent with Oshomole. How is APC going to get its acts together? Because it seems like the house is on fire.
Well, I think I granted an interview, was it yesterday? And I said, yes, that's the beauty of politics. Now, when you see crises like that in a party, it means the party is growing. When some of us were in PDP, we saw a lot of crises like that. PDP was the biggest party in West Africa. Today, APC is the biggest party in West Africa. So you will expect a lot of crises, and you can see the formation of APC was a gathering of different kind of interests. Now harmonizing these interests, of course, if you say there will be no crisis, you will just be joking, because different crises, different political parties coming together. In the first place, that time it was with the hope of snatching the power from PDP. Yes. Now that we've snatched the power from PDP,
what are we going to do?
We are going back. What are we going to do? So it's no longer PDP. PDP is not our problem. Yes. PDP is not the problem of APC. Now, how to harness this interest, this political interest within this political party? Now, I must say that I'm also very happy within this political setup, because within APC, I have seen the best brains. I've seen the best experience in politics. People who are experienced in politics. People who are committed to building democracy. I don't want to name them, but you can pick 4 or 5 of them from all the regions. You see them. People who are committed because from their experience, from their background, they are people who have fought the military. They came back, they fought the system, and today, again, they are fighting to build this country. People who are selfless in service, and people who are selfless in service. So that is why, even when we have crisis, it is very easy. You do small consultation and you see solution coming, except if you don't do consultation. But anywhere, from my experience, from the exercise like you mentioned that I had, just small consultation, I just saw solutions coming out of it. And by the time we bring out the solution, you see people are very, very happy. Things that were impossible, things that people thought there will be no solution. But by the time we came together and we did our consultation, we came together, we realized that just small thing, and then you see them coming together. And that was why we were able to resolve the one that you mentioned, whether you call it extension or you call it tenure elongation. We saw that both sides were right. Yes, from our
the accusation is that you first-time governors really need Oyegun there because you want him to secure you.
No.
Secure you. So Oyegun is the safe bet for you guys.
No. It is not. It is not like that. You see, whoever they bring, as far as I'm concerned, forget about what papers are writing about. What they are saying outside is what papers are writing about. But what we know as governors is different thing. First, our intention as governors is to come together and deliver our president in the election. So each time you see governors fighting, we come together, they will say, what are you fighting about? This one will say, we are fighting to deliver the president. This one, we are fighting to deliver the president. But in the process of delivering the president, we have different ways of delivering Mr. President. And you know, our president is not the one that will come out and say, this is my interest, this is my interest.
He expects you to know.
Yes. He expects everybody to know. And so when he is expecting everybody to know, everybody also has his interest. This one will say that, I believe this is what Mr. President wants. This one will say, I believe this is what Mr. President wants.
Why don't you guys just go to him and say, what do you want? Let him say
No, it's not always that we do. This is politicking. You have to do the politicking. But when he comes out and say, this is my interest, the matter dies down. So in most of the cases, he will come out and say, this is what I think is right. And as a leader of the party, if he says, this is what we said, what, Mr. President, why did you allow us to fight ourselves?
But
this is the beauty of politics. Yes. Now that you know this is your direction, no more fight. We'll all move into that. So the issue of whether Oyegun or all we are saying is that we had zoned the chairmanship
to the
South-South. We had zoned the chairmanship to the South-South. Let them know who is going to be the chairman. But the president came out and said, I think this person will do us well. And we say, yes, if Mr. President, if that is your decision,
so be it.
So no more fight. so everybody will now go back to his state
Yes.
and start fighting for Mr. President and also start fighting for himself. Because if the party is stronger at the federal, then it will also help you to win your own election.
Exactly.
But if there is division within the
center,
it will affect you in the state. So all the parties are working, whether it is Oyegun or Shomele, we all believe that whoever is going to be there will deliver, will use the party, will also depend on us, we will also depend on him to win our election. So I must say that with all even the skirmishes that are going around, what I know from inside is that it is making the party stronger and stronger every day.
Okay. Well, we have had a very interesting conversation with the governor of Plateau State, Simon Lalong. It's a pleasure to have had you on the show, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you.